Welcome to the Abandoned Pennsylvania Turnpike. There you go. That's all I got. If you want to know where you have to go to find the Pennsylvania Abandoned Turnpike tunnels, you simply have to look for the road sign, and it'll tell you, because we're in the middle of BFE. A modern marvel, the Pennsylvania Turnpike was completed and opened in 1940. With the rise of automobiles in the early part of the 20th century, public roads needed to be built to accommodate these new machines. The Turnpike answered this call. The problem was, Pennsylvania was a hard land to traverse. With the Appalachian Mountain Range running straight through the middle of the state, it was extremely hard to travel east-west. The old roads that ran up and down the mountains were extremely hard to negotiate for the automobile, as they tended to overheat with the stress of climbing the mountain, making water and rest areas a need on top of these mountains to facilitate this kind of travel. Also, the windy switchbacks caused traffic to be slow and even dangerous up over these steep hills. Pennsylvania needed a straighter approach to crisscross the state. Hence, the need for the turnpike grew. But how will this turnpike move through the great Appalachian Mountain Range? That answer laid within another mode of travel and trade of the 1800s, the railroad. The South Pennsylvania Railroad was a planned railroad that was supposed to travel east-west through Pennsylvania and navigate the Appalachian Mountain Range. It gained its name in 1863, but very little of the railroad was completed, and it never fully came to fruition. In the 1880s, the South Pennsylvania Railroad gained new life in a dispute between the New York Central Railroad and the Pennsylvania Railroad, two major railroad systems in the East. William H. Vanderbilt, who controlled the New York Central Railroad, was upset with the Pennsylvania Railroad purchasing a railroad line in New York that ran parallel with Vanderbilt's. This was a threat to New York Central's power in New York, so Vanderbilt hatched a plan to get back at the Pennsylvania Road. Teaming up with Pittsburgh capitalists such as Andrew Carnegie, Vanderbilt decided to create a syndicate to construct a railroad across the mountains to connect Harrisburg to Pittsburgh. The idea was to break the Pennsylvania Railroad's freight monopoly in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Vanderbilt and his team of financiers used the South Pennsylvania Railroad's charter to accomplish this, and surveys and construction began in 1881. New York Central's main banker, J.P. Morgan, was concerned with the financial issues of this new railroad, especially since it was more ruthless rivalry rather than good business. Morgan brokered a deal that ended with the Pennsylvania Railroad taking control of the right-of-way of the South Pennsylvania Railroad, but yet prevented the mighty Pennsylvania in taking legal control of the line. Despite 9 tunnels being built in the 1880s, the South Pennsylvania Railroad would never come to be and became known in history as Vanderbilt's Folly. In 1937, during the Great Depression, the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission purchased the right-of-way of the railroad with the idea of running a superhighway through the existing tunnels. In this right-of-way was 9 tunnels through 9 mountains: Blue Mountain, Kittatinny Mountain, Tuscarora Mountain, Allegheny Mountain, Laurel Hill, Quinnamohoning Mountain, Negro Mountain, and the 2 tunnels that we will explore today here at Sideling Hill, which is this one behind me, and Rays Hill, on down. The Pennsylvania Turnpike bypassed the Quinnamahoning Mountain and Negro Mountain tunnels when the turnpike was first built, mainly because of technological innovations that existed in 1937 that didn't exist in 1881 when they were building the railroad. This was done by building the highway up over these mountains. The original Allegheny Mountain Tunnel was not completed and had issues with its structure, so the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission built another tunnel through the mountain and abandoned the original railroad tunnel. Of the original 9 mountain tunnels built in the 1880s for the South Pennsylvania Railroad, 6 of them were repurposed for the Pennsylvania Turnpike in the late 1930s. The Pennsylvania Turnpike traversed through 7 mountain tunnels, earning it the nickname the Tunnel Highway. Construction on the Sideling Hill Tunnel began in 1881 for the South Pennsylvania Railroad, but was abandoned as a tunnel until it was remodeled in 1938 for turnpike use. It was opened to traffic in 1940. Sideling Hill Tunnel is 6,800 feet long, or 1.29 miles long. If you notice, when you go through here, it is hard to see the other end of the tunnel. The tunnel is actually high in the center, and as you walk or bike through this tunnel, the other end actually becomes more visible as you crest the center of the hill inside the center of the tunnel, as long as you have a nice clear day. We'll see what we see here today because it is a little foggy out. So you also notice around here all of the graffiti. There is a lot of it, and some of it is actually really good, and then some of it is just clutter and extremely inappropriate. But it is the inappropriate that I want to draw your attention to for just a minute. All right, if you notice as we traverse the abandoned turnpike, there is a lot of graffiti. But out of the graffiti, there is one symbol in particular that stands out among the rest, and that is the image of a particular male appendage. Though the fascination with this particular sexual image may be more of a Freudian psychological discussion about people's needs to show their power and ward off their inequities, that conversation goes way above the head of this historian. Nevertheless, there is history here. Some of the earliest cave art to depict phalluses date back to as early as 30,000 years ago, as depictions were strongly linked with the words strength, power, virility, and fertility. Recently discovered cave art in Turkey dating to 8,000 years ago also expressed these types of feelings with the use of depictions of normal-sized men with appendages the size of their own legs and just as long. A not so uncommon sight in a notebook of a young high school boy in today's society. In ancient Rome, one of our more civilized times, phallus worship was very common. Phalluses adorned public fountains in ancient Rome, along as ornaments in middle-class houses, as women would make phallus-shaped cakes for the gods and decorate their necks with phallus-shaped amulets, much like this one right here. And they were to ward off evil spirits and promote fertility. In fact, in 207 AD, a group of Roman soldiers were sent to the British Isles to repair Hadrian's Wall, which separated the civilized Roman world in the south from the barbarian Scots in the north. While there, the soldiers carved over 100 phallus-shaped images as graffiti into the walls, most likely meant to be a good luck charm at the time. This nearly 2,000-year-old graffiti can still be seen today, according to the Smithsonian Institute, on Hadrian's Wall. Who knows how long these symbols will last here inside the tunnels? Hopefully not that long. We at What in the History do not condone the act of creating graffiti, as these historical monuments should be left untouched for future generations, but we always want to give you as much context and history as possible. The phallus still adorns our society just as it has done for thousands of years across the world. Much like the legends of giants, the Great Flood, and pyramid-shaped monuments, the phallus remains a constant in human societies around the world throughout the eons. So, with a more historical perspective on the subject, I guarantee that when you see this symbol again, you will never look upon them the same. Now, here's what I wanted to show you over here, if it's still here. Walk over there and look at that mural once. Now, I don't know what the hell it is, but I think it's good.
Got the airplane shooting at it and whatever the hell this thing's supposed to be. It kind of looks like that thing off of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That guy who had the brain thing in his chest.
I'll take your word for it. But yeah, anyway, I seen this the last time I was here, and I was like, I don't know what it is, but it's cool, and it's good.
Bush.
What?
Bush Light.
Oh, Bush. Bush Light. Well, if my dad was here.
He'd be saying, hey, go and see what's in that hole.
Of course not. So I want to point out the air ducts on these tunnels. If you see from the outside on the ends of the tunnels here, they're actually air duct vents coming out the very top. To accommodate the fumes created by the internal combustion engine of motor cars, the Pennsylvania Turnpike's remodel of these tunnels involved installing an elaborate exhaust system. This exhaust system consisted of another tunnel above the actual tunnel that fanned out from the center of the tunnel and allow for fumes to escape out both ends. That's for the Sideling Hill Tunnel. Ray's Hill Tunnel, on the other hand, only has it on one end because it's shorter. If you walk up there and top them ventilation ducts, which actually you can gain access, but at least you used to back in the day, through these here steps on either end, but they're starting to rust out and they're extremely dangerous to crawl up into, so we don't do it anymore. But when you walked up there, the closer you get to the center of the tunnel, the lower that the ceiling got. And access now, of course, like I said, is restricted to this area due to it being dangerous. But at one point it was accessible. This sloped ceiling allowed for the exhaust to rise out of the tunnels and out each end rather than stay inside the center of the tunnel, causing air issues for travelers as they pass through the tunnels. You don't want to choke somebody actually going through the tunnel in their cars. And also, over here, if you look, is a clean out for these access tunnels, or these exhaust tunnels. And they were located at each end, and the clean outs were present to clean out any kind of soot and dirt. And you can see it right in here. And they actually, when you look in here, watch them step. There's where the clean out came in these little rooms here. This ain't sketchy at all.
It's only thin sheet metal and rusted through for years.
And we got the German foobar.
Up beyond all recognition. That explains this place very well. You like yourself some references to movies, famous movies? You float too. You float.
Angsty teenager.
There's a fancy light.
I'm surprised we haven't found more purple actors.
I don't know if you really want to do that out here. It sounds like a good way to get some sort of disease.
Well, I didn't say touch them.
Well, I didn't say that. I'm saying I wouldn't want to be out here in the first place.
Where's your sense of... Did you tell Brandon you float too?
Well,
Oh yeah. Speak.
Prophylactic. I don't know where you've been getting your education from.
Oh Lord.
There's a hole back there, but I dare not walk back there and look at it.
It's your sense of adventure. No, you call me out, man. There's a full bottle of water.
It's just a pit with a drain pipe in the bottom. Somebody's underwear.
What?
I'm done. Somebody's wearing tights back. I'm out.
You're out.
It's all fun and games till you find a pile of whitey tights and then I'm out. Yeah, I did.
Yep. I don't know how much this is going to go in the video, but
That's gonna go in the video.
everybody loves that. What the heck is the word?
They're dead.
Apparently. Good God.
Oh, there's one. There's the S.
There it is.
There you go.
Alright, special.
Yep, there we go. We brought ourselves back to the 90s.
Somebody couldn't be brought to draw.
Well, that's the other thing you find in notebooks. If it ain't a phallus, it's a freaking S. Never a dull moment.
Keep walking, we'll reach the other end. There are bikes to be back there.
Yeah, there's bikers coming too.
They left their bikes in the middle.
Yeah, well, we didn't expect anybody to be coming. So this is Rays Hill Tunnel. Construction began on this tunnel in 1881 to be used as a railroad tunnel. Rays Hill Tunnel was remodeled in 1938 for turnpike use and was opened to traffic in 1940. It is 3,532 feet long, which makes it the shortest of the original turnpike tunnels. You can easily see the other side of the tunnel on a clear day. Now, the issue with this tunnel, along with many of the other tunnels that were originally designed for the railroad, was that they were too narrow. The Pennsylvania Turnpike was a 4-lane highway with 2 lanes going east and 2 lanes going west. But the tunnels, including this tunnel, Rays Hill Tunnel, and Sideling Hill Tunnel we just seen, were 1 lane going either way. The problem was time. As time progressed, the amount of traffic increased on the turnpike, causing congestion at the tunnels. The bottlenecks at these old tunnels were becoming a major issue as we moved into the 1950s, which was the golden age of the automobile. With the American dream including the ownership of a vehicle, the majority of families in post-World War II America owned a car and traveled the country in that car. In 1959, it was decided to study how best to limit the congestion on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and ideas such as bypassing the tunnels and traveling over top the mountains and possibly even twinning the tunnels were becoming solutions. In 1962, it was decided to bore a second tunnel through the Allegheny Mountain to create a twin, so 2 more lanes could be added through the mountain. Also, a bypass was created for the Laurel Hill Tunnel, in which the tunnel would be abandoned and a 4-lane highway would be cut over top Laurel Hill. Blue Mountain, Kinnatiny Mountain, and Tuscarora Mountain tunnels were all twinned by boring a corresponding tunnel next to them, in which 2 more lanes of traffic could be added. Along with Allegheny Mountain Tunnel, these 4 twinned tunnels are still in use today on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Along with Laurel Hill, Sideling Hill Tunnel, and Rays Hill Tunnel, which is this stretch that we're biking here today, were also bypassed by cutting the 4-lane highway over top these mountains, resulting in these 2 tunnels and 13 miles of old Pennsylvania Turnpike to become abandoned. On November 26, 1968, the 3 remaining twin tunnels at Blue, Kinnatiny, and Tuscarora Mountains opened along with the bypass of Sideling Hill and Rays Hill Tunnel. This included the opening of the Sideling Hill Service Plaza, which replaced the Cove Valley Travel Plaza, and which was on the abandoned section of the turnpike and used to sit here at this flat piece of asphalt that I'm standing at right now. Now, the Pennsylvania Turnpike only uses 4 tunnels as it crosses Pennsylvania today. You find a sewer hole or something.
Oh, there's 2 of them here.
We found a tree stumped in a hole.
A tree growing out of it.
Huh. I don't know if this was the...
That's kind of what we're thinking. This was the checkpoint, gas station, way station, something or other.
Well, this is a travel plaza, so I don't know if this was like the gas station or...
That's what I'm wondering, because right there would have been your exit.
Yeah.
To go back.
Let's see, that was your entrance,
Right.
where you came down through.
That would have probably been a parking lot. So would the building have sat here where these trees are?
Maybe.
So imagine when they demolished the building, it would probably be down to bare dirt.
Maybe you think. So yeah, that might be where the building was. Maybe this was...
Like I said, fuel pumps, pylons, something or other.
Something.
Yeah.
Here's the entrance.
Go on in there, see what's in there.
Somebody's tagged it.
That's their hunting spot.
Yeah, so here.
That was probably the way around.
Probably. Go over there to the parking area.
Yeah. Well, you come pull in the parking area and come in here.
Poison ivy.
You walk over poison ivy.
Poison ivy, ain't it? Leaves of 3.
Depends on if it's a vine.
It's a vine.
No, then it's probably poison ivy.
Yeah. I didn't really get rubbed against it.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you get
That's
poison
why
ivy?
Stepped on some of it. I don't
Creeping
forget
around.
it. Never had it, so
Never had it. Well, that's
we'll
good.
find out.
Cool. Well, if you get poison ivy, don't come blaming me.
There's no legs. No biggie. Oh, what's this hole? Oh, he found another hole.
Found another hole. It's bricked.
Yeah, it's got a drain.
The abandoned tunnel at Laurel Hill has been used since 2004 to test race car aerodynamics. Now, the 13-mile section that contains Sideling Hill and Rays Hill Tunnel, which is where we're at here, has had many uses over the years since it was abandoned in 1968. It has been used to train turnpike workers. It has been used for military training. And it has even been featured in a 2009 movie called The Road due to its post-apocalyptic look. Since 2001, though, it has been thought of as more of a tourism item. In 2001, this section of the turnpike was given to the South Alleghenies Conservancy by the Turnpike Commission and is now run by a group called Park to Bike. Park to Bike's goal is to turn this abandoned road into an official biking and walking trail. But this has not become a reality. As can be seen, the trail is just a tad bit rough. Weeds grow through cracks and what remains of the asphalt. Asphalt is missing and potholes are all over the place on this trail, plus all the graffiti we've seen. It is not for someone who is expecting an easy and smooth joyride on a bicycle.
Is that on your 2023 bingo card? You know, murdered by a goose.
I wish I had that on video. Flying straight at us.
We're gonna go up above the trees and nope, it's all going. And so you guys like and trailed and landed and skid marks across the road. Yeah, I mean that's gonna hit and slid and sideways. Like, you gotta get up. You got up. Nowhere. I don't know where our breath is.
The Abandoned Pennsylvania Turnpike is a gem to central Pennsylvania. Its strange, eerie, post-apocalyptic feel gets you out of our reality of good roads and stable society and puts us in the feel of life after humans. Only a few sites like this exist, and it is so cool to have one in our own backyard without having to travel to war-torn Ukraine to see sites like Chernobyl. And it is even more interesting that a place like this is open to the public. In fact, technically, the trail is closed, but nothing says no trespassing. You can utilize this trail at your own risk. So if you do visit the Abandoned Turnpike, be safe. Any major instances that occur on this trail in this day of age could result in it being shut down to the public, which would be a great loss to society. The history of railroads, business rivalry, transportation changes, and the boom of post-war society all live within this strip of pavement and concrete walls that make up this trail. As you walk or ride, reflect on these things, and try not to pay too much attention to how many male appendages are drawn on the walls. For if you do pay attention to these drawings, you may wonder how we gained the knowledge to create such technological marvels in the first place. Thank you for watching this video. Please see my sources located in the description below, and please like and subscribe to this video and to this channel, please, if you want to see more. Remember, these stories are ours, and it is our duty to keep these stories alive. See you next time as I explore What in the History. Was completed, and it was never fully. Yeah, I can't talk today.
Take three.
Take three.
In the hole. Wiener dog.
Keeps getting worse.
JFK.
What? Oh. That's not what he got killed.
Yeah, not the real damn.
Jellyfish, mushroom. Jellyfish, mushroom.
Yeah, it's a hole.
Butthole.
Torn Ukraine to see sites like Chernobyl, and it is even. I just hear you in the background. Just a minute. The Abandoned Pennsylvania Turnpike is a gem to central Pennsylvania. It's strange, don't do that.